Hi, welcome to Abby's Book Reviews. This is my January wrap-up. I didn't read that much this month, especially compared to last January when I read like 14 books or something. Yeah, moving has kind of taken it out of me, trying to find a job, unpacking, packing to start with. Yeah, I've had like no time to read, which is like really upsetting, but hopefully once I'm all settled and everything, it will all work out. So, here we go. First book I read was The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy by Mackenzie Lee. This is a follow-on / companion to The Gentleman's Guide of Vice and Virtue. It follows Felicity, which is Monty's sister. Starts in Edinburgh, goes down to London, and then goes on a little bit of a quest across Europe, kind of in a different direction to their previous trip, which was down through France and into Italy. This is more a Germany, Austria, and then like ends up in like Morocco, which is super cool. Really enjoyed it. Love the diversity in it. Oh my gosh, just yes. As She Ascends by Jodie Meadows was my next read. This is the second in the Fallen Isles trilogy. It has dragons in it. Unfortunately, they don't play as big a part, I don't think, as the first one, but I really did like this, and it's definitely led it up to the last one, which comes out later this year, and I cannot wait for it. It's gonna be a pretty epic conclusion from the way everything's going, so long as it's obviously written right. And then, because it is International Holocaust Day, in January, I decided to read some Holocaust / World War II books. I wanted to do this in November for Armistice Day for World War One, but I didn't actually have any World War One books, so yeah, I was glad I could do it in January for the Holocaust Day. So first up, I read The Red Ribbon by Lucy Adlington. This is a YA novel. It's about 4 girls who are sewers in Auschwitz. They sew for the female guards and the male guards' wives and stuff like that. It is pretty horrifying. It's not that gruesome because it's a YA. It's not as gruesome as I thought it might be. It's really interesting, and I remember at Yauk of how Lucy said after she wrote it, she did like all this research for it, and after she wrote it, she managed to speak to some of the survivors who had been sewers, and they said like everything she had about the room and the cabin they were working in and stuff was right, apart from the colour of like one thing, which I thought was so interesting. And they kind of approved of the book. It does have some really harrowing moments in it, but I am so glad I read this just to learn something else, even through a novel that you can, because it's based on so much research, that it is pretty accurate. Obviously it's a novelisation of what happened, but oh my gosh, yeah, I needed a pack of tissues with me for this. Then I didn't make it myself any cheerier because I read The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. This is based on the true story of Leo Solokhov, which obviously is to Auschwitz. He gets taken under the tattooist wing and then ends up becoming the tattooist himself. It is a romance. It's about how he ended up with a romance in the camp, and this one I definitely needed a pack of tissues with me everywhere I went. Oh my gosh, so harrowing, so inspiring as well. I'm just getting like choked up thinking about it, which is pretty bad. Please go read this or something about what happened, because it was bad. At the end it talks about one of the characters, everyone was going, what happened to her afterwards? So she's written a book and it's out later this year. I think it's out in October, and it's called Silka's Journey, which I think might be even more harrowing than this one, but I definitely want to get it. I definitely want to read it. I want to know what happened to her. There's a couple of other characters in here that I'm like, did they survive? Did they not survive? Which would be really interesting to know about. Obviously, she can't research everyone. She can't tell the stories of everyone. But really, really, really good telling of Lael's story. I went back to novelisation. I couldn't deal with any more real life. This is Wolf by Ryan Grandin. It is a complete novelisation. It is set 10 years, 1956. The Germans win the Second World War, so complete fiction. And basically, there's this girl who takes part in a motorbike race that Japan and Germany hold every year for 10 of each of their countries' elite teenagers. They've got to get from Berlin through the whole kind of German Empire and Japanese Empire to Tokyo, where she wants to assassinate Hitler, but she can only do that if she wins. So it's all about kind of the lead up to it's flashbacks throughout the story. So it flashes back of what happened to her the whole way through from the war to the point of the motorcycle race starting, and then the present day is pretty much from the beginning of the motorcycle race onwards. Oh, I need to read the next one, but I think I've World War II'd myself out. The second one is Blood by Blood, or Blood for Blood, I can't remember, but I definitely want to read that soon before I forget anything. But this is such a cliffhanger. Again, I'm quite glad that both of them are out so that I can carry on, but I don't think I'm going to read it for a couple of months. I just need to de-World War myself. While I've been travelling up to Yorkshire and back so much, I have listened to The Mortal Engines by Philip Reeve, and this was because of seeing the movie in December, I want to say it was that I saw it, which was really good. I wanted to know if it was true to the book or not. It's not true to the book. There's a lot in the book that doesn't happen in the movie. I want to say the whole story is different. There's a lot of the story that's different. I am glad for once that I waited until after to read the book, or in my case, listen to it. Yes, I loved the movie, but I'm having to go with the movie is completely separate to the book because it is so different. But that's personal opinion for me. Lastly, in January, I read The Infinity Gauntlet by Marvel. This is the bind-up of Infinity Gauntlet 1 to 6. And this is because I read Infinity War earlier in 2018. I know it's now 2019, but in 2018, I read Infinity War. I was really struggling with that because it was, I think, twice the size of this, and it wasn't based on what I thought it was based on. So I wanted to know about Avengers, Infinity War, and where the basis for that movie came from. It came from this one, not from Infinity War. But reading this, the movie is quite different. I know they can't include all the characters. There's some characters that some movie companies own rights to and others don't. But it is it is very different, but it is interesting to see where the kind of basis came from. And I kind of went into it knowing that it would just be a basis and not to expect it to be a blow-by-blow account of the movie. But yes, it is very different. And it was really interesting getting to know different characters that I haven't been introduced to before, because apart from the movies, I don't know that much about Marvel. I read Civil War, I've read Infinity War, I've read Infinity Gauntlet, and that's about it. I do want to read the Deadpool ones, but I haven't got to them yet. That is it for January wrap up. Let me know what you thought, or if there's what you read in January. Please like, subscribe. If you liked or want to subscribe, please go ahead and do that. Enjoy the book you're reading, and I will speak to you soon.